Decision on the absent MP for Dom Kwabenya, Sarah Adjasafo, with the General Secretary of the party confirming to Joy News removing her as MP is firmly on the table.
Listening to government, and also that will inform the party to take a decision, because she's there on the ticket of the party, and we are the ones who decide whether she should remain there or not.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone and Prime Insurance. Tonight, we can confirm that the executives of the MPP, top government officials, and the leadership of the party in Parliament are set to take a final decision on their absent Member of Parliament for Dom Kwabenya, Sarah Adjasafo. The General Secretary of the party, John Boydu, confirms all options are currently being considered firmly on the table, including triggering the constitutional provision to remove her as a Member of Parliament. Now, Sarah Adjasafo has been accused by leading government officials and some of her own colleagues in Parliament of blackmailing her own government with a list of demands. Records in Parliament suggest she has now absented herself from the House for more than 15 sittings, which is beyond the constitutionally permitted threshold for being absent without permission. In the last few minutes, I have been speaking to John Boydu, who says the party, the government, and the leadership in the House are extremely worried, and she is definitely holding back the progress of government business.
Since Parliament resumed, it's not been back. We've been trying all means to make sure that she's around. You know the nature of our Parliament now, almost close split in the middle. So if you lose one member. Now, I normally say that the members of Parliament cannot even get sick and all that. So it's something that we are working on to make sure that he joins her colleagues in Parliament. Yeah.
So you've reached out to her?
Yes, we have. We have through various means, and she has one concern or the other. But I think that these are concerns that can be addressed. Yeah.
What's her main concern?
Oh, initially it was about the children, later was some few other personal concerns that she raised, but I don't think it's so major said that to keep her out of Parliament. And unless, of course, like others are saying, that if a member of Parliament has sent his or herself in Parliament for more than 15
sittings
without permission, some kind of process of removal can be triggered and all that. I don't think that we need to get there, but we are a political party, we are an institution, we work with constitution. When it get there, we'll see how best to manage it.
Kennedy Upon had said yesterday on GTV and today on Asase that one of her demands was that make her deputy majority leader.
Parliamentary leadership is not a permanent thing for individuals. It is, in fact, it is the National Council of the party that decides who leads or who becomes deputy.
So that is a party decision?
It's a party decision. It's not even government decision. So it is a party that decides. And since we decided the leadership for this parliament, I haven't received any complaints whatsoever. And it's not as if she was just left in the lurch. She's been made a minister and she's working. We've never received any adverse complaint at all. So it comes to some of us as a surprise. But hey, we are in the world. So
I seem to hear in your voice you don't believe the concerns he has are legitimate enough to keep her out of the house from working for people in a constituency.
Oh, legitimacy depends on who is raising the thing.
But are they legitimate?
Well, as for legitimacy in this manner, she has no right whatsoever to determine or say that she should be made X or Y. The right she has is to be a member of parliament. As for whether she'll be a minister, that one is the president that determines. So the president can decide to disappoint her or appoint her. As to whether to be at the front bench or leadership of parliament, it's the National Council of the party that decides. And we've decided long ago. We've never received any adverse comments from her or some petition or the need for her to have been maintained. You know, in all these discussions, we also had some deliberations with government as well to know who government is fielding in one place or the other. Because we cannot, as a party, field our leadership, then the next moment, president decides to appoint the person as a minister. It means that we must replace the person. So all the discussions that we have with the presidency resulted in the kind of leadership that we put there. And you are aware that she was made a minister and she never complained. We were in cabinet together and all that. So it comes to some of us as a surprise. But since I've not had personal, or I've not heard from her personally, I sometimes don't want to believe that is a demand from her. Yeah.
But how involved is the party in trying to resolve this rambling, ongoing issue?
The party, government, parliament.
They're all trying to get her to...
Not just her. We are all concerned, particularly when there's a need for some quorum to be met in parliament. So there are times that decision has to be made, and by the time we realize 2 or 3 of our members are either outside or are out of jurisdiction, we need to also put our heart together and bring them, including her. It's not the first time. We've brought her before. You remember when we had that vote in parliament, said that even the NDC said that she's been impersonated. Obviously, it wasn't true. It was very false, and I don't know why the NDC decided to do so, because I personally saw her. And I can also add that Mrs. Oforiatta spoke to her. She was going out. Mrs. Oforiatta accosted her, had a chat. So I saw her. So I didn't see why the NDC were peddling that falsehood. Yeah.
Is she, in her absence, hurting the party, the government's interest?
Obviously, yeah, because there are a lot of decisions that ought to have been taken long ago. You come back to E-Levy immediately, but not just that, because there are a lot of government decisions and government functions that need to move on. You wouldn't know when the NDC will insist that we should put it to a vote, and if you miss one member of parliament, it means that that particular government program cannot move on. So it is something that nobody can hide and say that we are not concerned about. We are extremely concerned about.
It's pretty dire. Then you see her on TikTok. How does that make you feel?
I'm told that it's an old recording. Yeah, I'm told that's an old recording.
But she's been away for so long. I mean, in that period, she's recorded at least one.
So that's an old recording, and I don't think it's also strange if she's celebrating her birthday and there's a music, she dances to it and it's put on TikTok. Only that it raises a lot of concerns about her not being reasonable. Because when I saw it, before I got to know that it's an old video that is put, I was so angry, because apart from the other reasons that are raised, some other thing that is because of her health and all that. Therefore, anyone to see her dancing and laughing at her, so to speak, was something that wasn't in a good taste at all.
There's some leading voices in your party, both in Parliament, Kennedy Upon, Bearfield, the Deputy Trade Minister, who believe that the parliamentary procedure must be triggered because she's absented herself for more than 15 sittings, and that triggered to invoke that constitutional provision that would revoke her ability to still remain in the House. What's your take on that?
I think that is their view, as parliamentarians, as colleagues, and they believe that irrespective of the concerns that she has raised, she should have been here to work with them. For whether or not that will be triggered will depend on decision by party. and the caucus.
Is the party willing and able to crack the whip? Because obviously you are concerned.
We are more than willing if there's a need for it.
Is there a need for it?
I've told you it's a tripartite decision that we will take. Listening to our side in Parliament, listening to government, and also that will inform the party to take the decision, because she's there on the ticket of the party, and we are the ones who decide whether she should remain there or not, based on what the Constitution says. So it's something that we are mindful, and I'm a bit mindful of the fact that we are still in discussion. So
so you are still trying to get her to come?
We are still trying to put our thoughts together, trying to look at a lot of other options that we can do, and possibly if she will join us, that would be fantastic for us.
She doesn't?
If she doesn't, then there are other options that we have. You've mentioned one. There are a few other options that we'll consider, which I'm not ready to let you know.
The constitutional one I mentioned is to remove her from Parliament.
Even the president cannot do anything about it.
But that's definitely an option you are considering.
I'm saying that one we don't even have to consider as an option. It's constant. When we were in school, when we are doing algebra, there's constant K. That one, there's nothing that can be done about it. If it is triggered, there's nothing that we can do about it than to go through the motions, you see. So I think that is important. And because I'm part of some of these decisions and making sure that all other options are explored, I will not be able to talk like Baby Befi or talk like Kennedy Japan. Kennedy Japan, for instance, feels so bad about it because apart from the fact that he has 2 children with her, he was involved in her campaign towards the 2020 parliamentary primaries and the main campaign itself. And I think that she's been receiving concerns from people and all that. So you can see the passion with which he speaks about it. But for some of us, we cannot go.
Very finally, I mean, all the tripartite conversations happening, yourself, government, parliament, is it positive? Are you getting positive feedback?
Maybe neutral.
No, you are not making any progress.
It's better. At least there's some move towards decision making.
Okay, independent of her, with or without her, you're getting to a decision.
No, whatever decision we take will include her. Even if she disagrees with it, she must be part of that decision. So I think that is something that is worrying, and I think that you are also, as a Ghanaian, must be worried, particularly when it stalls government programs and government activities. But we will get there.
I mean, you've been in politics for so long. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Well, maybe other jurisdiction we have.
Well, you heard John Boydu talk about Adrasafo's TikTok videos and how he was angry when he saw them. Well, today, Adrasafo, who is also the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, has deleted her TikTok account. But already, the controversy surrounding her absence, which has crippled government business in Parliament, is splitting heads within the MPP ranks and has led to a clash between MP for Asing Central, Kennedy Japan, and Director of Communications for the party, Yababi Asamoah. This was Kennedy Japan speaking on state broadcaster GTV yesterday.
Says she wants to be a deputy majority leader. That woman has failed in life. Please, why are you saying, hey, a whole minister, a cabinet minister, now demanding that she should be made a deputy majority leader before he comes? He should go to hell.
Did she write
yes,
this?
She has requested that. Yes, she has requested that.
And what was the response?
I have 2 kids with her, and therefore I'll never speak the truth. I will speak the truth, even at gunpoint. I will speak the truth and die. That is exactly what she's doing. Please.
Is this something that could cost her her seat? Because some have suggested
yes.
that
of course.
Once
if
she's
you
not
don't come
returning,
to Parliament and you are on TikTok dancing, excuse me.
What's the exact law surrounding absences?
It's not for Apostle Kwadwo Safu. Get it straight. And people are insulting me because I went there to campaign for him, for her. And Michael Kwe, the speaker, a man that I respect very well. But
you campaigned against his son for that Dom Kwame
because Adwa used my kids. The kids were calling, Daddy, please, you have to support mommy, do this, and now everybody is insulting me. Yeah, for doing that. But I have not regretted because she's very responsible when it comes to the kids. So I don't have a problem.
Explain to us what the law exactly is on absences for parliamentarians.
Straight 15 working days.
How many days has it been now since she's been
more than
away?
that.
Should we expect her seat to be declared vacant?
Why not? Yeah, you should go and contest on TikTok.
So that is Kennedy Japan yesterday. Well, today, the party's director of communications, Yabo Abiasamwa, on an Accra-based radio station, called for Kennedy Japan to be disciplined by the party. He says he should be his conduct and the comments that he's been making about their colleague Adjasafo is one that the party should take a serious view of, and that he should be referred to the disciplinary committee of the party.
My thought is that we should be disciplined. What it means is that I don't think that Japan should be in a position to be telling the world what we are discussing indoors. Yes, I think it's not fair to the party at this time that if anything is going on, where the solutions are not found, it only compounds the difficulties, if any. And I don't think at this time anybody within the executive, the party, parliamentary caucus ought to be making individual opinions and telling the world whichever way it should go or whatever the situation is without a clear way forward from within. You have asked me, I've said that he should be disciplined.
Well, Kennedy Japan himself has fired back. I can't play the things he said about Yabebia Sama because much of that is unprintable, but has responded and reacted very strongly to Babia Sama's suggestion that he should be disciplined for the comments that he's made about Adjasafo publicly. Well, we've been digging a bit more into this. I'll take you to Parliament shortly, where we are beginning to hear from some minority members who are also taking an interest in what is this unfolding saga around one NPP member of Parliament who has been absent from the House for so long. But first, what have we been learning about the real background to all this controversy surrounding Adjasafo? My colleague Elton Brobe with the political desk is joining me for a quick chat on this. Elton, you've been working your sources. We've heard a bit about the issues that triggered, this spat and controversy. But it goes far deeper than just a request about make me a deputy majority leader. Hello, Elton. Okay. Do we still have Elton with me? Hello, Elton. Unmute if you have muted. Elton is joining me via Zoom now. Elton, can you hear me? Okay, we'll get Elton back on the line where you can hear us. But I want to go to Parliament now. Because my colleague Parker Wilson is chasing down a lead in Parliament for us. Of course, as you can imagine, this is one of those stories with several angles always unfolding. In Parliament is what the real action is, where we understand that she's absented herself for more than 15 sittings. Parker, there were suggestions that there may be a move in the House, and John Budu has confirmed that this parliamentary move to trigger the constitutional provision is not off the table, and that the party, the government, leadership in Parliament, they are considering all their options, including that. Have you seen any moves on this in the House? Hello, Parker. Okay, both of them can't hear me. There's a challenge with that connection. We'll get that rectified for you. And we've also been hearing tonight from the deputy majority whip in the House on the side of the NPP. He's also been talking about the issues surrounding Adjasafo. Everybody else is having a say on this. He describes as premature, calls for by members of his caucus to drag the absentee MP to the privileges committee. This is Habib Idris, the Deputy Majority Whip.
Adjasafo is not back. And there are concerns about, your caucus members are threatening to invoke Order 16 to compel Parliament refer her conduct to the Privileges Committee.
I don't think the absence of the Honourable Member of Parliament for Dominic Kobinya is a worry to everybody. And leadership we haven't actually say or will not actually downplay the fact that when she's not coming, it's not affecting the government business. But if members of parliament are communicating, saying that they want to invoke Order 60, as you said, I haven't actually looked at the order very well. But
Order 16, 1-6.
Yes, 1-6. But actually, the Order 16 doesn't precede Article 97 of the Constitution. Article 97 of the Constitution have made it clear that if a member of parliament have absent himself for 15 days,
and then she crossed the deadline, 15 days.
A member will need to move, and it has to be referred to the Committee of Privileges. I don't think we have gotten there yet.
She has absented herself for 15 days without permission, and the votes and proceedings of this House captures that.
If you are telling me that on authority, fine, I cannot say that on authority because looking at, I don't think we have gotten there.
No, today is the 16th day. I have checked. I've done my homework.
Oh, okay.
I have checked. Okay. Right from January 25, when Parliament resumed, Adjustafo has not been in the chamber, and that is a fact.
Okay, so if that is the fact, but you see, the Constitution in Article 97, like I said, it has made it clear that it's if he or she hasn't written to the Speaker. The point is that you might not see her name in the order paper or something, and probably maybe he has notified.
But if you are notified.
So did she notify the Speaker? We'll get to that shortly when Parker joins me. But let me bring in Elton. Elton, you've been digging a bit deeper into this. The issue surrounding this goes beyond what we've heard about the demands that she's making.
Yes, it's only Evans, and information we are picking is that the sentiment started immediately after the parliamentary primaries in her constituency, that Dom Kwabena constituency. Now, what I'm picking is that she felt she was not given the needed protection as was accorded Oseche Mensah Bonsu and the first deputy speaker then, because she was the deputy majority leader. But she had to fight her way through the parliamentary primaries, defeating the son of the then Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quaid, whose son was then serving Ghana's ambassador in India. And she felt that the party leadership should prevail on the Speaker of Parliament and the then Ghana's ambassador to India to allow her to go unopposed. But that was not done. In fact, she won the parliamentary primaries by just 8 votes. And then she made that position quite clear to the president that she was not happy with the way she was treated against what was accorded the majority leader, the first deputy speaker, and some other members of parliament during the parliamentary primaries. Also, that aside, the issue about the sacking of the national coordinator for the National School Feeding Program, Gertrude Kwasiga, and then the directive from the presidency for her to rescind that decision within 48 hours also was one of the triggers. And then finally, her request to be given a Minister of State, not Minister for Gender and Children's Affairs, but a Minister of State plus a Deputy Majority Leader, all went, not responded. So these were the issues that may have culminated in the current situation as we have it now. It started as a Cold War, and now it became very obvious that she was not going to play ball with the MPP majority in Parliament and the government on one side.
And we've heard, as confirmed by Kennedy Japan, one of her central demands is that she wants to be the deputy majority leader.
Yes, and a Minister of State, not as a Gender and Children's Affairs Minister, but a deputy majority leader and a Minister of State.
So she wants a double position there.
What I'm thinking is that the presidency is not willing to allow her have her way. And for that reason, last night's meeting called by the president, which was attended by the leadership of parliament and some leading members of the party, made it clear that persuasion has gotten to a point where they can no longer continue and be held ransom for the next 3 years. So there's a need for the party to draw a line in the sand between them and Sarah Adjustafo. The options that they agreed on at this meeting, which my source is telling me, is one, to get a member on the MPP side to trigger, file a motion demanding that the Speaker look into the issue of her absenting from Parliament for clear 16 sitting days without any notification to the Speaker, and then begin the process to have the seat declared vacant so that they can have a representative, because numbers count, especially in this Parliament. But there are others who are of the view that should that happen and the sitting member of Parliament decides to go unopposed, what then becomes of the seat asset, whether it's going to be safe for the MPP or not. But clearly, what I'm picking from this meeting that was held last night is that persuasion is no longer an avenue the government want to pursue, because they've done this at some point. They had to charter a whole private jet for her to come to Ghana to participate in parliamentary business. Getting her has become even difficult. The chief of staff, a female MP from the Ashanti region, very close to her, was sent to the US quite recently to convince her to come. That did not materialize. So clearly, persuasion has gotten to a point where they can no longer pursue that as an option, and for that reason, the triggering of the relevant articles in the Constitution and standing orders is what appears to be the order on the table now.
And this meeting, I understand, last night was a high-powered one. Almost everybody else was there, including party executives. No wonder John Boyd is confirming to us that the government party leadership in Parliament have now set to reach a decision on her, including, obviously, what you've talked about, removing her from Parliament, using the constitutional provisions as triggered in Parliament.
Absolutely, Evan.
Elton, thank you very much. Let's go to Parliament now, because Parker has been following that leg of that story for us as it unfolds there. Parker, you were putting that question to the Deputy Majority Whip about the counting of the 15 sittings, which, of course, the Constitution prescribes. The evidence, as we've checked, is that she has substanted herself beyond the constitutionally required threshold. And you were digging into the sentiments among the majority side to trigger that constitutional provision.
Yes, Evans, that has been the concern within the NPP caucus, and today we're expecting them to raise the matter on the floor, because in Parliament, without raising the matter on the floor, everybody or any member of the House can ignore. And so we do understand that the majority leadership are impressing upon the NPP caucus, especially for those who are upset with the conduct of Adjo Safo, to tone down. They are still trying to reach him. But I must say that in my conversation with Habib Idris, it was clear that they were finding it very difficult to get Asawa Adjo Safo to respond to them and also return to the country to partake in parliamentary duties. And the latest twist, Evans, is about the not-top member of Parliament, Kujato Ablaka, who is now saying that the move to drag Adjo Safo to the Privilege Committee will be discriminatory. He has indicated that two other NPP MPs absented themselves from Parliament in the last meeting. That was the year 2021. And so it cannot be that you only hang Adjo Safo because it suits them at the moment, but rather they have to add the two other NPP MPs. Now, Ablaka himself, the North MP, Senator Ablaka himself, is here with me, and I'll hand him over to you to have a conversation with him on these issues.
I mean, Mr. Ablaka, thank you that you joined us. I mean, what really is the point here? Because if others have done it in the past and nobody bothered to trigger it, it should not be said that it is discriminatory if the law catches up with somebody else who did it in the future. In this case, Adjo Safo.
Hi, good evening, Evans. I am not saying that the law should not take its course in the case of the Honorable Sarah Adjo Safo. All I am saying is that let us apply the law fairly. Let us not be discriminatory. I have gone through the vote and proceedings between October 24th and November 26th, 2021 in our last meeting. And I have discovered that the Honorable Henry Korte and the Honorable Kennedy Ohene Ejepong missed 18 working days consistently and consecutively. They have breached Article 97(1)(c) clearly, and they have also flouted Order 16.1 of our standing orders. So I am saying that I welcome the discussions on the need for all members of Parliament to take their work seriously, for us to eschew absenteeism and to punish sin. Therefore, let us apply the law fairly in a non-discriminatory manner, and let us ensure that the Privileges Committee, when they come to sit on the matter relating to absenteeism, they sit and consider all three MPs for Domiko Abenya, for Ayawaso Central, and Asin Central, So the matter must be put in proper context, in a context that is fair, balanced, and non-discriminatory.
But the constitutional provision
that is what I'm pushing for.
The constitutional provision says absent 15 sittings without permission. You must know that these two indeed did so without permission. Do you have that evidence?
Certainly, I do. If they had permission, they would have been captured. I have copies of the votes and proceedings here. I've shown them to your colleague Parker Wilson. If you go through the votes and proceedings, they are captured under the category of absent. So they are not absent with permission for those 18 working days. So they are in clear breach. They're in clear breach. And I've done my checks, and indeed, some of them have even conceded that they really have fallen foul. So I've done the checks. As it is now, the records we have in Parliament, when you peruse the votes and proceedings, it is irrevocable, it is unimpeachable, it is clear as daylight that these persons, all three of them, violated Article 97(1)(c). They did not have permission from the Speaker, and they have been marked absent. They have not up to now challenged those records which we have in Parliament. So I'm saying that, yes, it's a good discussion. Members of Parliament who are paid by the taxpayer, public officials, must be up and doing. You must earn your keep. Let's not waste taxpayers' money. So it is a good debate. But you see, don't have a hypocritical approach where now, because you want e-levy pass, you are focused on Ajwa Safo because you can't get her vote to have your obnoxious and regressive e-levy go through. I'm saying that let's apply the law fairly, squarely, in a balanced manner. There should be no respecter of persons, and let us ensure that at the end of the day, nobody can say that Parliament is shielding some people.
Mr. Blacker, but why don't, if what you say is what you believe, why don't you then trigger the process then? You can raise the issue with those two. If indeed the evidence supports that they've been absent for 15 days, more than without, why don't you trigger it?
That is what I have begun.
But you don't do that on radio. The constitutional provision is clear. It's in Parliament.
So the first thing to do is to conduct your search, put all the evidence together. I've done that. I have gone public with my findings. The next step is to raise it on the floor, and I can assure you that will be done. So I'm following the process.
You'll do this with or without the Ajwa Safo issue, or you're waiting for somebody to trigger Ajwa Safo, then you bring it in.
My position is that all three of them. Look.
So you're going to trigger all three, including Ajwa Safo.
In addition to this, I'm even calling for institutional reforms, that there should be a way where Parliament itself can identify these things. I mean, these two other MPs will have gotten away with this, but for my checks and for going through the records, which I took it upon myself to do, we should have a mechanism where, as an institution, we can detect these things. So, in full context, I am pursuing this to also ensure that at the end of the day, we improve our internal systems and that we are able to fight absenteeism, dereliction, abdication, once and for all. So it's a bigger agenda that we are pursuing.
Just for final clarity, so you are going to trigger Article 97C of the Constitution on absent without permission for 15 sittings in Parliament?
Absolutely.
On all three individuals?
Yes.
Okay. When are you doing this?
We are in talks, and it should be sooner than later. I don't have a specific date, but sooner than later.
I'm grateful. That's the MP for Notong there, Samoku Jita Blakwa. Still ahead here on News Night. GPRTU is
with very harsh demand.
We'll hear from some commuters who say who are calling on government to cushion them against the transport fare adjustment.
they are always increasing the fare and salaries are not being increased. So basically, the citizens are going to suffer.
It's very bad, especially at this time when the economy is everything is going up.
Meanwhile, the depreciation of the cedi continues to threaten the livelihood of second-hand clothes dealers in Kantamanso.